founders, when I ask them, why are you doing it? They say that we want to build a unicorn. I hate the word unicorn. Mental health will be the biggest pandemic in the world in the next 5 years, in my opinion.
Doctor turned entrepreneur, an investor, a public speaker. Dr. Ritesh Malik, thank you so much for speaking to Brut.
Thank you very much, man.
In a world where today an entrepreneur is much more than an entrepreneur, he or she is a poster boy for almost how to live life. They are healthy, they look dashing, wealthy. It's all about the success at a really, young age.
Yeah.
But Dr. Malik, you've always been very vocal about that journey that you've had as an investor and an entrepreneur, which is you've always talked about your disorders. And that is not something we see very often entrepreneurs speak about, that side of them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to first start by asking you those four disorders that you've spoken publicly about.
Sure.
And how did they make you the person that you are?
No, that's very interesting. See, why I correlate those with 4 disorders is that the idea is that a lot of people think that entrepreneurship and success is only for people who have extra abilities. I want to break that norm. I believe that anyone, irrespective of their background, irrespective of their financial conditions, irrespective of whether they are from IITs or non-IITs, these societal fractals need to be broken. So that's why I share this story where it does not matter. I always tell them it does not matter from where you come. It does not matter whether you know English or not. It does not matter whether you have financial means or not. What matters is if you have hope and if you have a dream to actually do something in life, you will achieve that. And that's why these 4 disorders come from. I'll tell you these 4 disorders. The first one is DVD. As a child, I had this, जिसको हम हिंदी में तोतलापन बोलते हैं. It's called developmental verbal dyspraxia. I could not say the letter R. Now, unfortunately, in Hindi, R is very prevalent. The entire family had their name starting with R. So I was bullied because of that, and that
Your own name with R.
So just imagine saying Gitesh to everyone. And I also remember my dad's a doctor, and we went to buy a car, and I still remember when I think that 2001 there was a car called Chevrolet, and when I went to the dealer, he said that I told him that we want to buy a new Chevrolet Get car, and he said that what's that, and because of that we bought a Honda City which did not have R.
You changed the car that you buy because of the word letter R in it.
Absolutely. And also I used to make a list of words in which R wasn't there. And you'll be shocked that there are very little of those words, but I used to replace them. So I think because of all these things, I had a very, how should I put it? I had a very ill-confident childhood. And that also leads me to where I am today. You will see I'm massively introvert. And I think all these things do not matter. What matters is that if you have, and this I talk about entrepreneurship, if you genuinely want something, you will achieve it.
So, all the young people who are watching us, Dr. Ritesh, how, when you're an introvert, how do you actually go out there, force yourself to, because as an entrepreneur, the whole point is to be in uncomfortable positions in terms of, going out there, meeting people, being the first mover. How do you do that?
So, okay. I think the best place for you to grow is outside your comfort zone. My belief in life is that do things that are not done by the majority. And I always tell people that outside your comfort zone, magic lies. And example, if you are an introvert, go out there, talk to people. If you do not know English, start learning 5 words a day. If you start action has magic, action has momentum. So this is what I always tell people that, and like example, I'm an introvert, but you should see me when I address public gatherings. My first one, I literally had a heart attack. I was so scared, I was sweating in and out. But I said, the idea is my first will be bad. By 10th, I'll be decent. By 100th, I'll be a pro. And by 1000th, I'll be the best in the world. So I think slow and steady, even now On one-on-one interactions, I'm still an introvert. But you give me an audience size of 10,000 people, you'll see how seamless I am.
So one was, of course, you spoke to us about how you overcame the DVD, and what were the other things that helped you, and how did you overcome them? The other issues.
The second one was bullying back. So I'm 1989 born. I'm 34 right now. Bullying was a big challenge in my school, and I realized that if you have a disorder in our country, you're not supported. At least not back then. And that actually helped me become more empathetic towards. I think every negative thing that happens with you makes you stronger. Example, now when I see people who have a disability, who are differently abled, I see them from a very different angle. So I think when you experience things, you are able to become more empathetic towards others who go through the same journey. The third one was very interesting, and that was in our country, especially the Southeast Asian countries and also southern China. I call this the APS, which is the Asian Parent Syndrome. We are the only country that has lenience of doing business.
Right.
Because our parents don't want us to go through suffering. Because of which fourth generation entrepreneurs are there. Someone who's mining a particular mineral, their fourth generation is also doing the same thing. Because they don't want their fourth generation to learn new skills.
Right.
Now, because of technology, knowledge is democratized. Today, we are in a passion economy. So I have 37 doctors in my family. Everyone who's not a doctor is actually frowned upon. So I took a call that I do not want to become a doctor. My entire family, and we stay in a joint family. We are a Punjabi family. My grandmother, my grandfather, all of them said that you have to become a doctor. Ended up becoming a doctor, went to a village in Tamil Nadu where 90% of people didn't wear chappals, and realized that India is a very different India. It's not Delhi where I was born and brought up. So that was a big challenge. But in 2012, when I came back, I was interning at Gangaram Hospital. I took a call. I used to hate going to the OT. I used to hate seeing the blood. And I tell everyone, if you don't like seeing the blood, how can you do operations? Every human being is gifted by one particular skill. Example, Madhuri ma'am is gifted with dance. Oh my God. When she dances, it looks effortless. Sachin Tendulkar is gifted with sports. Now just imagine if Lata Mangeshkar was going to dance instead of sing, you would not appreciate that. So I think find that one. The goal of educational institutes is to find that one. And for me, I was fortunate enough, I took the call, fought with the family, found that business is my calling. And I took the call of not continuing my medicine and shifted and started Innovate.
Were there any failures before Innovate that you had? How did you just sort of, without a background, jump into it and make it a success?
So one thing which is good with me, which I like about me, I have a lot of negatives, but the best part which I love about myself is that I would start. I love the movie बनती है ना, it's a very interesting thing. I love the word action. I think, so example, 2012 Gangaram Hospital, I co-founded a company called AdStuck. AdStuck built India's first augmented reality app, which was built, operated and transferred to Times of India with the name Alive app. That was not a huge financial success, but that helped me learn a lot about startups. Our first office was in Noida, Sector 63. And I realized finding an office in 2012-13 was so hard. And that came. So it does not matter from where you start. Your biggest idea will not come in your first shot.
Right.
The idea of Innovate came while doing AdStuck. That in Uttar Pradesh at that point in time, 12 hours light wasn't there. Between 2 to 6, water wasn't there. I used to literally fight with the landlord. And I said that, how can we change this? And that is how we came with the idea of Innovate. So had a lot of failure. At one point in time, we also built an OYO for luxury properties in India called Woo Stays. That failed. And multiple failures. But the idea is that I don't call them failures because these are stepping stones. Everything that you do leads to something next. A lot of people who are failing today, they would feel discouraged as long as you don't quit. And you should quit. You should not quit, but pivot. A lot of people don't quit. Being in the co-working industry, I see similar people working on the similar problems, not taking feedback, and they feel that not quitting means that doing the same thing again and again and again for the rest of their lives. That's not, that's actually a stupidity. The thing that you need to do is pivot. Take feedback, pivot. Example, if you make you're a journalist, if you make an interview,
Right.
and that interview does not do well, that means you learn from it, and then you also learn from all the interviews that are doing well. You create patterns. So I'm a big believer of taking feedback, pivoting, and not quitting.
Okay. So for young entrepreneurs who are seeing you, 22, 25-year-olds who've started their own venture, a lot of them think, hey, let me make it into an X crore company, list it. Those are usually the dreams that people go with. How would you look at something like this, and what would your advice be to those entrepreneurs?
So I've been very fortunate because we are in the business of co-working. I meet a lot of young founders. And one thing which I don't like in my meetings is a lot of founders, when I ask them, why are you doing it? They say that we want to build a unicorn. I hate the word unicorn. This is something which I would like the government of India to change, not track unicorns. We have 114 unicorns as per DPIIT as of last week. Hardly 25 of them are profitable. My thesis is that how can success be based on a private investment? I'm a big believer of impact, and I believe that when it comes to startups, you start a business to solve something that you personally face or something that you are deeply passionate about. You see, the biggest companies in the history of mankind, they started with an obsession, and that's why I call the passion economy. You will quit if you do not pursue something that you are mad about, because startups are hard. If you do not like what you're doing, you're going to quit. So in my opinion, and this is something which I tell, I also sit on a lot of boards of schools and both government and private universities. The goal of education is not to have you placed. The goal of education is to find what tickles your mind, to find what is that one skill. As a doctor, I can tell you, why are you successful? You might think because you work hard. There's a chance that is true, but one of the biggest reasons is because you do something that is your calling.
Let's take a 22, 23-year-old who you are talking to, who's started a business, is an entrepreneur, probably fairly doing well, raise some money. What would your advice be in the Indian landscape on don't be a unicorn, don't chase that, be passionate about what you're doing. But how does he or she view that business?
Okay, so I have this phenomenon called the ROSU phenomenon, which is the reason of starting up.
Okay.
That's very important. I've invested in 127 startups. The first thing that I talk about is what is your ROSU? What is the reason for starting up? Because for me, that is very important. Why are you doing what you're doing is very important, because if it is because that you want to become a unicorn, the moment the word unicorn is replaced by profitable unicorns, your temperament might change. What is significance of permanence in your life? Example, I'll tell you, when I speak with Tarun from Ather Energy, he's mad about electrification of two-wheelers. He's mad about it. He does not care whether he's a $1 billion company or a $10 billion company. When I talk to Vijay from Paytm, he's mad about, and all these people are very simple. Like me and Vijay, when we meet, we meet at the UPSC Chart Bhandar. And his goal in life is, he probably doesn't spend money at all. As a person, his goal in life is to see the vendor or any kirana store use Paytm. That's his high. Now the question is that you find your high, find your ROSU, find the reason of starting up, and because of amazing platforms like Shark Tank, reason of starting up at times is also to idolize a founder. I feel idolizing a founder is not that great. Find your own niche. For me, the why was not to, honestly speaking, I never thought that I would ever make money in life. With Innovate, my why was, why does Ritesh Malik need to go to sector 63 from Preet Vihar every day? अभी तो वो expressway बन गया है. I used to take 1 hour and 10 minutes to reach the office, have the generator, have no light, manage water crisis. Why do I need to do that? And then he said that there must be 100 Ritesh Maliks in our country. The central places cannot place. We cannot afford a taxi or a car. What we do is we take the metro. What is that one location which is 20 minutes from all north, south, east, west Delhi? And that was CP for us. And we said, let us create the best office space ever, which is cheap, which is good location, but at the same time beautiful.
Beautiful.
For us, and I call this the Garfield phenomenon. 99% of people hate going to offices on a Monday. If you, people are genuinely, they are so deprived of the joy of working because offices are mundane, they are not suave. You should be excited about going to, like Sunday, like for me, I love Sunday evenings that, I have to go to office tomorrow. And it should be like SL World. Nahi, jaunga main. Like that's the, so our idea was that how do we build that? And then, so with that, models came in. I never started to sell the business. I never wanted to sell the business.
You never wanted to sell it. You never thought of selling the business when you began it.
Honestly speaking, I never thought it will be a business. We started Innovate as an incubation center. We didn't even know what co-working was. We just started that, let us have, I was solving a problem for myself and the founders that I knew. We never thought that this will become such a large industry, and today co-working is just 1.2% of the entire commercial office space.
Right.
It is going to become 30% in the next 1.5 decades. So I'm just saying that you don't start with an idea of making money. People who start with an idea, I know so many founders, they started with an idea that I have to have this much capital in my bank account. That never works out. What works out is mad passion. Passion leads to good products. Good products lead to revenue. High revenue, low cost lead to high profits. High profits leads to high earnings per share. High earnings per share leads to your value creation.
Value creation. Okay. Another group, that you are passionately leading is ADIF. We were just talking about it before the cameras rolled. And tell us a little bit about that and, the open internet as well as big tech firms. What is India looking at? How important is the conversations that you are having between the big tech and the entrepreneurs at this point in time?
First of all, as a macro level, India is world's largest internet economy. China is closed. We have in total 83 crore, 830 million people accessing internet. And the interesting part is those 83 crore people accessing 99% of internet from their phones. US is very different. US started from accessing from desktop, then to laptop, and then to mobile phones. India never went to laptop.
Straight to mobile
phones. Age of accessing internet in India is cost of accessing internet. We are the lowest cost of internet access in the world today. Now, if you see all of this, this is phenomenal for the economy. Our mobile payments infrastructure is the best in the world. When it comes to our COVID vaccine certificates, in the US, my friends had those yellow colored certificates. In India, we had the app.
Right.
Our Digi Yatra. So I think, typically speaking, for the globe, India is the biggest opportunity. For the globe, we will see, and this is also pertaining to the fact that we have one of the largest populations of LinkedIn users, users for Facebook, users for Instagram. So with all these large companies, we need to also be very careful because the next East India company will be in the form of these large digital monopolies.
Okay.
Now, why do we call them monopolies? Because they have massive scale. There is no competition over there. at times, because of their scale and impact, they can squeak competition and not create level playing fields. There are a lot of cases like these, and that is why we built Alliance for Digital India Foundation, wherein we want all founders in the country to have a level playing field and not to be cornered by these large tech platforms. Example, I'll tell you an example. There's a case going on in the courts right now in which Android is saying that we are going to charge and prohibit other payment gateways to be used on our platform, and we will charge 15 to 30% depending on your revenue. Whereas other platforms like Razorpay, Paytm, PhonePe, they will only and only be charging 2 to 3%. Now, this is squeaking off competition. So with this, we went to the Competition Commission of India. Now, these small examples are, because what happens is, as such, out of 114, only 25-30 are profitable. With this, the journey of profitability of unicorns will further get delayed.
Right.
So our goal is that we need to, and because I've sold my business, we have no alienation, we have no alignment with anyone, not with the startup founders, not with big tech companies. We are very neutral, but we genuinely, our alignment is with Digital Bharat, with all its consumers, because what is going to happen is, the moment this gets levied, what happens is, digital services will get 15 to 30% more expensive, because companies are going to put the same on the consumers. So in my opinion, ADIF is very important, and we need not just one ADIF, we need a lot of these watchdogs to keep an eye and help. Example, 10 to 12 apps were delisted by Android.
Right.
The case is again going on right now, but just imagine an app like Naukri.com's app. It's a large company, and Google just delisted it. You can't do those kind of abrupt things. So I think that is something that we are fighting for. We are also hearing Google's concerns, but at the same time, we believe that we need this. We need to have a dialogue between big tech companies, and because big tech companies work from the Bay Area, they do not see a lot of which is happening in India, and we need to ensure that governments build the right digital policies to protect the sovereignty of our nation.
Right. It's hard, isn't it, Dr. Malik? Because a lot of times when we see some regulation coming in from the government, it's always seen as probably hampering market economics, free economies, free speech, especially with social media, right? It's still evolving, and it's evolving so quickly. So how does one take a measured stance in terms of regulation, and what kind of regulation?
So for the first time, honestly speaking, see, we are extremely small entrepreneurs. In the society, our influence is very limited. For the first time, this government is listening. What we like about the government is they listen, they take feedback, and so far our interactions have been very positive, and the government is being very balanced. The good part of the government is they do not want to become like China. They do not want that, don't come here. Because Google also pays a huge revenue to the government in terms of GST. But at the same time, they are also understanding concerns of smaller companies like Bharat Matrimony, which are fighting with Google for a very long period of time. So I think this government is very balanced. We are, for the first time at least, they hear. Listening is a very important part of it. I think one of the key, and I'll tell you a very interesting example. I run a business called Innovate. The moment you type the word Innovate is not the first keyword that Google will send you, because my own trademark is sold to a competitor of mine for a cost. We are fighting that at least my trademark. See, if you write best co-working space in India, you can bid that.
Right.
How can you bid my own trademark? This is actually violation of my own digital right. So I think these are certain things, because from conventional, you can't do all of this in, like, you cannot do this in a newspaper. You cannot, like in newspaper, instead of Innovate, you cannot write a competitor's name.
Right.
You will immediately be slapped and courts will know. But in digital, the challenge is know-how of judges, ministers, and even entrepreneurs at times is hampered, because it's a new space, especially with the advent of AI. With free speech, there's there's so many challenges. I'll tell you, there's so many videos which are coming in which prominent politicians from various parties, their voices are being morphed. Their content is completely being tarnished into something else.
Right.
So the government's responsibility is also to ensure these kind of things do not happen.
Do not happen. Which has led me to my next question, which is on AI. You've of course spoken in the public domain that India is probably not ready for the kind of jobs that AI will create, and countries which are ready, because that wave is coming. Countries which are ready are the ones where the economies will probably do much better. Can you explain, what you mean by that?
So, in my opinion, Mehak, AI is one of the biggest. It will be one of the biggest disruptors in the world. It will create a lot of job loss. It will create a lot of job addition. Our challenge is we are not ready because we are not. It takes around 20 years to skill a human.
Right.
And we've not, in the past 20 years, we have not skilled them. And now, in a haphazard way, we are creating a lot of these content courses. Learn AI in a year, learn AI in 2 years. That's now not how it will work. In my opinion, what we need to do is create AI specific universities. Example, what has been done in UAE, it was the first AI dedicated university in the world. UAE also built world's first cabinet ministry for AI. Minister Olama doing a phenomenal job. So I think we need to see AI from a very different angle, not as a technology, but as a layer.
When you say cabinet or there's a minister for AI, what do they do?
Oh my God, you'll be amazed. They are adding AI in every layer, from media to how they track traffic, to how, so example, UAE has a network of CCTV cameras. They are tracking each and every car. They are trying to understand how can we change the path of traffic. How can we have efficiency in all layers? How can we see which malls have more people coming in and which malls do not have people coming in? So I think with AI, it's a layer. AI can do any and everything. So in my opinion, example, we've just invested in a company called Carpal. They do better X-ray and CT scan scanning than radiology companies. Now, we don't realize, but AI is going to transform every industry in the world. So I think we need to be ready with it. 80 crore jobs are going to be lost by 2030 because of
80 crores.
80 crore, 800 million, but 40 crore, 400 million new jobs are going to be created. We need to create leaders who can. So I'll tell you, we are a group of founders who run this university called Plaksha. When parents ask us that what will be the CTC of our children after 4 years at your university, we always tell them that is none of our concern or our business. That does not mean they will not have a CTC, but the goal is we want to train students for 2060 when maybe I'm not even there. We want to train students for permanence, skills of leadership, skills of how to navigate change. Every 5 years, there will be a massive change in technologies. Going forward, it will be one of the most disruptive times in the history of mankind. And for that, we need leaders who can embrace change.
Right.
And for that, we need to completely transform our education.
Completely transform education. Brings me to my last question, Dr. Malik. Recently, an IIT IIM graduate died by suicide due to work pressure in Mumbai. He was an employee in a multinational company. There are others, whether you are a student, NEET, of course, is well known. And even if you make it to a really premium institute, we see a lot of this kind of pressure. So what I'm saying is, when you're preparing for getting into a premium college, when you make it into when you are a student of a premium college, when you've graduated and probably have a great CTC, we are seeing a spate of suicides which are taking place. What is wrong?
So it's very hard to comment on this because we do not know. And I'll tell you, in my opinion, it's not only this. In my opinion, depression will become very prevalent. Forget about stress, forget about IIT, IIM, CTCs. typically humans are going to get more depressed with the advent of social media. They are going to see a lot of things, and they are going to feel jealous. They're going to feel sad, and for that, we need to focus on mental health as an important topic in our society. Now, I'll tell you, in India, uh, being a doctor, a lot of founders call me and tell me that they're going through a lot. And they say that we cannot tell this to anyone. And I always ask why. And they say that I don't know how our investors will look at us. I don't know how media will look at us. They might make this a headline. And that's the challenge. At some point in our lives, at least in my life, and I'm sure in yours as well, we would have been depressed at some point in time. The question is, if this person would have taken professional help, there's a chance he or she might not have committed suicide. So, empowering mental health experts, empowering mental health as an important part of our society, and creating content for health and mental health in our formative primary schools as a mandatory subject, and in our secondary and university level courses is very important.
It's very important.
Mental health will be the biggest pandemic in the world in the next 5 years, in my opinion.